Well, we're going to do a little demonstration, I guess. We're putting on gloves because the paints I use are lead-based. This is sign painter's enamel, and it's the only paint that you can still have things like lead and chromium, and that's why part of the reason that the intensity of my color is so strong. Not that these aren't toxic if they're in your house, kind of thing, a situation. Else you're going to go chew on them. But hopefully you're not a paint eater, and that'll help. Okay, so we're going to do. This is what we call the party coat that goes underneath all the layers of paint, and this will be covered up, and then we'll sand back through it when we get ready to scratch and field. So I'm just going to go ahead, and we're going to put on some paint here. And we'll try not to mess with the lines. We paint this in the same process as if as you were looking at it now, making the eye come across from the color flow across the piece, even though we're going to completely cover this up, and we won't when we start to sand through it, we won't know where the color is or what color is underneath there. No, because I'll mess the whole piece up. It'll be fine. It's going fine. It's going real quick. And hope.
If you don't say anything, let me stop these guys. Okay, you go ahead and talk.
Oh, okay. We're supposed to have some good music playing right now. It would get in the rhythm. There was a real jazz kind of element to this, or some good headbanger music to some level. A few little dots. There's a little bit of an archaeology thing involved in this, and I think that goes back to the antiquities that we talked about earlier. I put down the paint, and then later on I unearth it, which is kind of a nice concept. You know, it's like what's hidden beneath the surface. It's the soul of a person, not just their personality or their looks. And sometimes paying attention to that is way more important. When you stand back on my pieces, you don't see all that's going on, and I think that's part of what makes them interesting and makes them work over a period of time, is that when you first look at them, they look like they're just black and white, and then you get up and there's little bits of green and blue in color, and there's a little bit different shapes and forms, and it's like getting to know someone. And the more you know them, hopefully, the better it is.
Okay, let's hold right there. Come on, let me get the other camera here.
Okay? We have a tendency to, in our fast-moving life, to just go with the sensational and be bombarded with stuff and not spend time and energy trying to see and look and feel. And I think that's part of the attraction of my work, is that it is so man-made, and it is so tactile, and there's more there than first meets the eye. The thing I'm proudest most about this body of work is how people have related to it. I don't have to explain it. And one of my dealers in LA recently just said, the nice thing about selling your work is you don't have to sell it. And from a dealer, that's about as good a compliment as you get. So now after this, there'll be layers of white and black put back over different tones and colors, and then that'll all dry, and then we'll scratch and sand through that to reveal this coming back up. Okay? Okay, later on after we've painted and we put on the layers of paint, they go into the bins and they dry. This paint has to dry for at least a month before we can go to the next process, which is banging and beating and scratching and then sanding through. So we're going to do kind of a little example here of what we do. I won't be on part of this piece here. All these are scratched, and we're okay. Now we got the idea. This continues a little bit and goes back and forth as we use the wire wheel and we sand. But I think what I really like to show more than anything else is we saw how we painted before, and what has happened is you don't know where all these little bits and pieces of paint are underneath. So when we start to sand through this, if we're plugged in, always make sure it's off. Okay. Okay, the main thing I just wanted to show here is as I start to sand, we're starting to get some blue and some red, and the red falls across here, which will come up. And all these scratch marks will be sanded out and brought into, opened up as much as I'd like. So I kind of use this the same way as you use a paintbrush or something, in a way of exposing what's coming up, or like when they do an archaeological dig, they use a little brush and they slowly brush the dirt away to expose something. So what I'm trying to do is expose it. And we're not going to, there's no reason to go any further here, but when we get done, we'll end up with a piece that's scratched and exposed, and this blue will be repeated through the piece, and then we chemically rust it and coat it. So the whole process takes at least 3 months to finish one piece. So that's why we work on so many pieces at a time.